so many different opportunities and shifts in our journey have come from simply just being honest with ourselves about where we are in life, what seasons we're in, and how we want to show up, and just following in that path, looking for opportunities to where we can plug and play our uniqueness.
Be bold and maybe just even challenge yourself for 2026 to go to one or two conferences that are not directly within your profession, because that's such a great way to network.
Welcome back to Hot Tea with Umo and Bri. We are fresh off the stage at FNCE 2025 Nashville, where we had the honor to present our session, Using Your Uniqueness to Thrive in Sports Dietetics. So today we're giving you the inside scoop of all the things that we shared, how the audience responded, and some of the biggest takeaways that you can start applying in your own career right now. We thought it would be very applicable to you as our listeners. So whether you were in the room with us physically or virtually, and you're catching up the recaps at home, this episode is all about helping you to use your story, your strengths, and your uniqueness to stand out and thrive in sports dietetics. And I know we have a lot of followers that aren't in dietetics, so this would apply to y'all too. If you're in the performance space, wellness space, fitness space, whatever, a lot of this stuff still applies. So let's dive right into it, Uma, and just hit on this topic. Like, why did it hit so well for us when we were developing everything?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was so great to be able to have the opportunity to speak about this at FNCE. But the reason why we were motivated to do it is just because of our journeys. I mean, even this podcast alone, there's so many parallels to our topic. And you and I have had very unique, non-traditional pathways to where we are today. And with so many people that have reached out to both of us about how-tos, how did you do this? How did you do that? Who did you link up with? What's the process? We felt as though it would be really important to share our experiences and really encourage everyone to use your uniqueness to be able to blaze the trail and do your thing and be able to fill a need and offer something unique and different that a lot of people can benefit from. So there hasn't really been any talks like this that I know of. And so we really wanted to make sure that there was an opportunity to be able to have people both attend, listen, and of course, be able to ask questions afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that recording will be available too. So you guys will be able to check it out. And I agree with those sentiments. Like it can be very difficult when you are trying to build your career and you feel like you've got like this uniqueness about you. You've got something special about you. And maybe the role that you're in right now doesn't quite fit, right? Like you don't quite fit in the box, and that's okay. I think just as Uma said, just like you said, Uma, like we didn't quite fit in the box that we were handed. And, sometimes when you don't fit in a box, it can feel discouraging because you're wondering, man, like, I know I'm special. I know I have qualities about me. I know I have passions that I can use to serve other people, but there's this box that I'm supposed to fit in that I just don't fit in. So how do I recreate the box so that I have something that's unique to me that allows me to further in my career and all of these things? And I know that's something that I thought about as we were pulling together the presentation. And y'all, building out presentations for FNCE, it takes like a year. Just heads up if you ever are planning on doing that. Like it was a long process. But as we were creating the presentation, just thinking about not only a lot of the questions we got, but also like questions that we had whenever we were kind of developing our careers. Like, okay, how can I use this? What makes me special? What makes me unique? And where are the gaps? So we'll get into that today, but I think that was huge as we were developing the presentation.
For sure. I mean, it was definitely a walk down memory lane. I think that for me, it's very easy to say, yeah, this was my experience and this was my journey. And even in any speaking opportunities that I have had, I always feel like, gosh, I left this part out. I left that part out, but they get the picture. But it was definitely a walk down memory lane. And I mean, an aha moment for me, I would have to say is just the word resilience, persistence. You have to have both of those qualities because again, when you're not following a traditional path to success or just a traditional path period to be able to feel to achieve your passions, you really have to be prepared for, okay, I thought I was getting somewhere and all of a sudden I've hit this roadblock. So what do I do next? Okay, I thought that I had the answers to this question, but it seems as though I don't. Or I thought that this particular company or professional would be open to my idea and they're not. And so you really have to make sure that you define your why. We talk about this all the time, and know that there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but that at the end it's worth it. For me, I already knew that as a dietitian, I was definitely going to be doing something regarding performance. I knew I wasn't going to do anything necessarily related to endurance because at the time, that was the majority of what I saw in the realm of sports nutrition. I was just like, no, I definitely feel like there's a space and need for me in so many other aspects. And a lot of those areas just weren't really popular at the time. So it was definitely a walk down memory lane, and it's just kind of fun and interesting just to see how everything's worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and on that note, I would love to, I think we should just dive into our personal journeys a
Yeah.
little bit. So if you guys missed it, we're going to share a little bit about our journeys. And we'll try to keep it short for you guys because we
Yeah.
know y'all like the short and concise episodes.
Mhm.
Um, so Uma, go ahead and share. Like when you think about your journey from, student to being this entrepreneur and developing all the things you have, tell us a little bit about how you got from point A to point B.
Gosh, I just think about like a zigzag, like all over the place in a piece of
Yeah.
paper. That's what you guys should think about after I just tell you all this, all that happened and is transpired. But honestly, like I said, I knew that I didn't want to do clinical. I knew what I wanted to do. So, but I knew it wasn't going to just be easy to go from point A to point B. And I knew that the foundation needed to be clinical. So as I went through grad school, I took a PRN job at a hospital, did what I, learned all that stuff. Basically, it was just a continuation of my internship. And while I was doing that, I was also building my skills as a fitness coach. So I was taking on clients, I was just putting things into practice, doing small group training, doing nutrition challenges. So it was really always kind of working on that. Fast forward, I ended up getting proposed to at some point in time. Woohoo!
Hey.
And wanted to look really good in my wedding dress. So I was like, okay, maybe I can do like a fitness competition, a bodybuilding competition, and just see what happens. Well, did really well and got bit with it. And so I decided to go ahead and use my skills. I'm like, my experience, y'all, was horrible. I was basically just had horrible non-science based coaching. Okay.
Mhm.
So that definitely motivated me to use my expertise and again fill that gap. How about a dietitian actually helps these people, these athletes get ready for competition and keeps their metabolism legit, right?
Yeah.
And try to shy away from eating disorders or disordered eating. So
Mhm.
did that for a bit and it ended up getting pretty big. And then I started working with CrossFit athletes, barbell athletes, Olympic weightlifting, all of it. And just kept doing that, was really immersed in the fitness and nutrition space. And then fast forward, lots of different opportunities came my way, contracting gigs here and there. So I'm not going to bore you guys with those details. And then I finally decided after not competing anymore, letting that go so that I could start a family, that I needed to figure out what is life going to look like now that I have kids and I need to be there for
Mhm.
them, but I still really am passionate about helping people. So when 80 continued to grow, it changed into working with more traditional athletes, high school athletes, youth, some collegiate. And then I was asked for a while to open up, well, not really open up, but if I would serve other people besides active individuals and athletes. And so took like a very, very, very short term position as a private practice dietitian and learned very quickly why I'm an entrepreneur. Can I just keep it real with y'all? Um, Therefore, Well Rooted Health and Nutrition was born, and here we are.
I love that. Oh
Lots and
my
twists and
gosh.
turns.
What you mentioned, like, too, like the zigzag, like, y'all, I
I just
feel
probably
my story so
confused
much.
y'all.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Like but that's a whole point, right? Like your uniqueness is what led you to having those different opportunities that you created for
Right.
yourself, or maybe like popped up because of who you were and how unique you were. And I feel like my story is so similar in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
because it was literally very much zigzag. I feel like my story is defined a lot by pivots and being forced to
Yeah.
do something different than maybe I had planned, and I had to just figure it out, right? Like I am a second career dietitian, so I was a pro athlete first. That so for me, like even though I went to school, got my bachelor's, and I thought, okay, nutrition will be something that I get into in the future, like that was not the top of mind whenever I graduated college. Like I was trying to go play ball. So for me, like it was all about being an athlete. And then I saw the writing on the wall and I was like, okay, I'm not going to be an athlete forever. Like, I
Yeah.
need to start figuring out what life is actually going to look like after I'm done playing ball. Um, and that's when I started diving into like the nutrition stuff and figuring out, oh, I got to get a license. And at this point, like, I'm like 3, 4 years removed from my bachelor's. So I'm like, I don't know what that's going to feel like. Cause I was used to living free, traveling the
Yeah.
world. And then I'm like, oh, I got to go back to school. Yikes. So
Yeah.
I went back to school, after retiring and did a clinical program. And originally it was like, okay, I wanted to do sports nutrition, because my sister and I, after we retired, started a meal prep company simply because like we had people asking us, oh, like, you guys make these recipes, like, can you turn them into actual meals? And we're like, oh, yeah, I guess we could do that. So immediately after we retired, we started our business, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then, knowing like that nutrition piece was so important, and also being my frugal self saying, oh, we don't got to pay somebody to do this. I can go back to school and get this degree, so trying to save a couple coins, but ended up not really saving because I went and did a master's program that cost me money. So it was like,
Oh
whatever.
man.
But I didn't go do a clinical program because I thought I wanted to work wellness. I did it because I thought I wanted to work with athletes. And I knew
Yeah.
that athletes deal with clinical stuffs too. And so I went, got that master's degree, got my RD license. And halfway through my master's program, we found out we were pregnant with my first son. And that changed everything for me. Because even though we had the business, I still envisioned myself like doing the business and then also working in the collegiate space or the professional space or
Hmm.
with somebody's team, and I was like, that's not going to happen now. So what am I going to do? Right. Like, what am I going to do? So once I finished up, we continued our company, but I started working for Gatorade. So I worked through the Gatorade Sports Science Institute with NBA G League for a couple years. And that for me was like perfect because it was unique to me. I was a basketball player,
Yeah.
and I could set my own, it was like contract work. So I could do my own thing. I could
Hmm.
still work with athletes. It still gave me like that drive that I missed from playing ball. And then from there, GSSI shut down that program with the NBA G League. And then it was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? How am I still going to get that same like itch and fulfill my dream of like working with athletes? So that's when Power Portions at the time, now Steph and Bri Wellness, turned into more of a consulting company and started working directly with athletes one on one, specifically on the nutrition side. We dropped the meal prep part, focused specifically on the consulting. And I, again, never in my mind thought I would be working in wellness until
Yeah.
a pivot happened again. And I had another kid, and it was like, okay, something got changed. Like
Yeah.
we got to bring more people on. And then Steph and I were feeling like, okay, we're not athletes really anymore. Like, so how do we serve people that are like us right now? And that's when that
Hmm.
wellness piece came into play. Then we started taking insurance and we started, so again, like in the media piece, that's the other thing I know we're both
Yeah.
into,
Media.
media, simply because we just show up as who we really are.
Yeah.
And so again, like so many different opportunities and shifts in our journey have come from simply just being honest with ourselves about where we are in life, what seasons we're in, and how we want to show up, and just following in that path, looking for opportunities to where we can plug and play our uniqueness. So,
Yeah,
I mean, our journey
absolutely.
sounds similar.
Yeah, just all over the place.
Exactly.
But ended up leading to really amazing places. And I think that that's important. I mean, it's important to be able to have a plan, but it's also important to be able to be open to opportunities that line up with where you are in life and other passions
Mhm.
that you have. I mean, that makes you who you are. That makes you the type of sports medicine professional that you are, the sports dietitian, registered dietitian that you are. I mean, it's really important to lean in that and not deviate from who you are because it'll show. Being
Mhm.
authentic, people really appreciate that. They want to be able to connect and feel like there's somebody like them out there, and that person may just be you. So,
Mhm.
we talk about that a lot. It's easy to look at other people and say, gosh, maybe I should do things the way they did it. Well, let me tell you one thing, y'all. Do not do what I did
Mm-mm.
ever. Like, ever.
Don't
Because
recommend.
the amount of times I said yes is like unnecessary. It was
Mhm.
so
Girl,
unnecessary.
when I
Distractions,
think about my
distractions.
path it's the same way. I'm like, "Y'all don't do what I did, because I was just jumping from it's crazy. Like, when I look
Yeah.
back, when I tell my journey, I'm like, "Dang, like, what was I was just trying to figure it out."
Yeah. We
And
both were.
and fortunately for a lot of you who are listening, you don't have to just figure it out. You can hear about other people's paths. You can learn about how to do things ahead of time because people have already gone down that road and apply it, in the
Yeah.
ways that suit you best. So, and that's some of the things that we talked about too in the presentation is, number one, and we'll share some of these strategies with you guys, especially if you weren't there, or maybe if you were there, this is just kind of a recap, but like, leveraging your strengths and your background and who you are and using that to propel yourself forward.
Yep.
If you can, because now, obviously times have changed. So there are people who likely look like you and have similar experience that can help guide you. Whereas I think
Hmm.
for us, like, we didn't necessarily have that. We kind of had to just like figure it out on our own. But that is something you can do. You can leverage your strengths in your cultural background. You can also find people who have been down that path that look like you, have similar experience to help guide you in that way.
Absolutely. And it's really important to make sure too that like you are identifying like what your niche is. You fill that gap. I mean, there's so many, especially in sports nutrition, it's emerging every single day. I feel like there's always just more of a need and more awareness. I think more awareness of who we are and what we do is part of why there is a greater need. So that's great news. But I mean, maybe if you have some ideas, jot them down and see if it actually matches with some of the gaps that need to be filled. But it's really important to do that. Building authentic networks. I mean,
Mm,
man, my network has carried me. To this day, it keeps carrying me. It's really allowed me to create my I guess you could say administrative team in terms of the people I consult with regarding my business. I
mhm,
don't think that I've ever had to like outwardly search for an attorney or a CPA
mhm,
because of my network. So it's really important to make sure that they're authentic. I think that it's social media is great, but some of the things we talked about is that person to person experience and getting involved in your community is incredibly important. And then, creating that personalized career roadmap is essential. Like we said already before, it doesn't mean that you can't deviate away from it,
mhm,
but having a roadmap at least helps minimize the likelihood that you're going to fall into those distractions because distractions will come. I was actually talking to my husband, who is my business partner as well, about this how we committed to something for 5 years that we know good and well that we should not have committed to. And but the beauty of it is that through that commitment, it did allow other people that were involved in what we were doing grow their business, right? So
mhm,
there's going to be those moments where you're like, why in the world did I do this or do that? But try to always find the bigger purpose in those things, right? There's no such thing as perfection. But going back to the original point, having that roadmap helps.
Mhm.
minimize the likelihood that you'll fall and lean into those distractions.
Yes, girl. I mean, I had no roadmap. Like I had no plan
Yeah.
at all. Um, and you're right, like all those strategies can be so helpful. And we're able to identify those strategies now because we went down the path without having those strategies. Like we had to just like navigate our careers, not knowing that these were the strategies we were actually using, but we actually used them, right? So when
Yeah.
we look back on like how we got, for those of you that may be wondering, like, how did we get here? It's using those strategies, right? Like understanding your strengths and your cultural
Yeah.
background, like identifying those niches and filling the gaps and figuring out, okay, hey, something's missing here. How can I fill in this space in order to further my career? Those networks, oh my gosh, I agree. Like there are people that I met back in internships and way back, like years back, that I can still call on that may still call me out of the blue and be like,
Yeah.
hey, like I need somebody for this, or whatever. And so having the networking piece is huge. And for those of you that maybe started your career around COVID time where like everything was online, I highly suggest you get out of your
Yeah.
house and go meet some folks
Yeah.
because that's huge. Getting in person networking going can be so helpful. And then, as you said, that roadmap, girl, I had no roadmap. Like when I look back on it, it's like, zero plan, just an idea, lots of
Yeah.
ideas that popped up, but no like roadmap to say, okay, this is how I'm gonna put all this together. Like I relied on the Lord and his provisions, to
Listen.
give me all the things. And
Yeah.
here we are today.
Right. Yeah, it's so interesting. And I think even just to go back to the networking thing, I think it's very easy to get stuck in, okay, I've got to go to my conferences that are specifically for my profession. And I can't encourage you all enough, especially since this is for wellness professionals, this is for sports medicine professionals. Be bold and maybe just even challenge yourself for 2026 to go to one or two conferences that are not
Yep.
directly within your profession, because that's such a great way to network,
Hmm.
and learn more about those other spaces that you're trying to get connected to or already connected to. So just putting that out there, that your network is, it doesn't need to be limited to just your specific profession. Your network
Hmm.
ideally is much larger than that.
Yeah, to the 10 recommend that. I agree. Um, so kind of circling back to FNCE, some of the things that we did within our presentation was got the audience involved. So I'm just want to share really quick some of the exercises we did there at FNCE. So that way, if you want to try it yourself, you can. So one of the things that we did first was our think, pair, share. And that was essentially going through some of those strategies that we talked about and, identifying what makes you unique and special and how you can fill in a gap somewhere, right? So if you are just kind of starting out, or maybe you're looking at making a pivot, you can always try that with maybe a colleague or friend or whatever family member of just kind of developing your ideas, get that brain working a little bit in regard to like understanding what makes you unique and how you can fill a gap. And then we kind of moved into some polling. And so we kind of asked the audience what are some things that they thought would kind of hold them back, I guess, from being able to fulfill their dreams and use their uniqueness the way they want to, right? So maybe one of those things is that you don't feel like you have a network, or you don't feel like you have mentorship, or you don't feel like you have, what you need, or maybe you're nervous or scared about doing certain things. And so we challenge you to, combat that, right? Like what can be done? What can you do if you come up against something that maybe is a roadblock for you, and overcome that challenge so that you can continue on in this journey in your career. And then the last thing we did was just a hot seat exercise. So we gave people an opportunity to pitch themselves, which I know is something that we'll probably be looping in later in our community, if you've
Yay!
heard that, So lots of things that we'll be sharing these resources to in our community later on. So you won't miss it, but just an opportunity for people to kind of get their minds going and think a little bit.
Yes, and it was so fun to be able to see people step out of their comfort zone and get involved with these different exercises. So we definitely envision that our presentation wouldn't just be obviously us sharing what we know and our experiences, but definitely allowing everyone to apply what they were learning at the time and really put pen to paper and get their brain thinking. So now we're going to shift into some of the behind the scenes. I was there. So much fun for you guys to see what was going on, what happened during and after the presentation. So definitely check out this clip. Hey guys, Umi here. We're so excited to present our session at FNCE 2025 in Nashville, Tennessee, Using Your Uniqueness to Thrive in Sports Dietetics. We have been waiting to share our story and basically everything that we share in our podcast here at FNCE, so stay tuned for what I have to say afterwards. All right, so we just got done presenting the session. It was a packed room, so many great questions. It was so great to see everybody get involved in the Think, Pair, Share activity and really get their thoughts going and getting some good positive feedback. So it was so great. We had a great time. Avery did a wonderful job moderating, and Bri, even though she wasn't here with us in person, was here in spirit, and she had so many great things to say. And she chimed in at the end for Q&A. So we were excited how to be able to do a lot more presenting together. Actually, we will. And this gave us a lot of great ideas. So yay for FNCE 2025 at Nashville! So some key takeaways for listeners, some immediate things that we got the audience involved in was to leverage one unique skill this month. And I mean, lots of you probably have quite a few different unique skills. I mean, not to toot our own horns, but we sure do. So
yeah, toot.
But, at least just choose one that you can really try to leverage this month. And by leveraging, it's like, okay, so what is that? Can you get connected with people? Can you figure out, can you start brainstorming for your business that you may already have, or maybe it's a new offering that you want to present in the next year? So how can you leverage that? So that was one of our takeaways. The next takeaway was expanding your network with only one new connection, and want to emphasize how incredibly easy this really is, right? This could be somebody that maybe, just to kind of keep it simple. I mean, I know that we always talk about how important it is to have those in-person experiences with networking. But maybe you're just not comfortable with that just yet. You're starting to slowly crawl out of your comfort zone. Maybe there's somebody that you really admire and follow. Reach out to them, shoot them a DM, say, hey, I really admire you. I follow you. This is who I am. This is what I do. Is it possible for us to connect? Right. I respect your time. Definitely make sure and be willing. I'm just going to say this. Don't expect anyone to do anything for free 99. Okay. Because time is money. And if you really want to make that connection, and on the receiving end, they want to take you seriously, right? And not think that you're just another person in their inbox reaching out and saying the same thing. So that does go a long way to at least even offer paying them for their time and expertise. So that's one example of many of expanding your network. Another example could be maybe there's some end of the year, fall, winter, local wellness fairs, or something dealing with athletes or performance. Make your face known, show up. So that was one. And then the next takeaway was to commit to one small action step toward your roadmap. Maybe that's just starting a roadmap.
Okay.
One. It doesn't even need to be just put pen to paper. That could be a brainstorming session. And I think for a lot of people, the reason why this does not happen is because it can seem like it's overwhelming, right? It's like, oh gosh, I have to carve out hours to be able to create my roadmap. And that is so far from the truth. You just have to get started. And a lot of times, once you get started and you actually say, okay, my ideas are coming, they're flowing, that alone is going to be a motivator for you to keep building your roadmap.
Girl, just start somewhere. Like
you just have to get started.
Gosh. And once you start, it's funny because all of this stuff will become second nature to you, right? So for us now, where we are in our careers, we're able to kind of just like do this off top. Like, oh, hey, I've shifted. I've got this uniqueness, maybe this new season I'm in, and this is how I'm showing up. How can I leverage this? Right. Oh, well, I know so and so that works in this space. Maybe I can connect that way. Right. So, to give you guys an example, with my pregnancy, it was like, okay, I'm pregnant. How do I transition, whether it's like the content that I'm creating on my social media or some of the brand partnerships that I have, how do I leverage that? And it's like, okay, well, in this season, I'm highlighting how I'm a mom, right? I'm highlighting
Mm.
going through pregnancy. I'm highlighting Black maternal health. Like I'm highlighting those things because they're important to me and I'm living it right now, right? So it's one of those things that are second nature to us now, and they will become second nature to you as well the more you put it into practice, especially in entrepreneurship. Obviously, we know this applies beyond entrepreneurship as well, but when you're building a business or you're expanding a business or, doing something with it, these steps will come second nature and you'll just start doing them like it's a part of your day-to-day habits, and eventually you will build the career that you want. And one small note before we kind of wrap this thing up is your roadmap. So we do have a template that will drop in the show notes for you guys to download and use. So that way you already have that ready to go. It's one of our special community resources. So
Yay.
feel free to download it, use it at your discretion. So that way you don't have to create something from scratch and you kind of know where to put your ideas and thoughts so that you can start working on putting things into action.
Yes. And so that is definitely your easy handed to you step one for that last key takeaway. Well, guys, that wraps up our FNCE 2025 recap. We hope this conversation gave you a glimpse into why we're so passionate about helping dietitians and sports medicine professionals build careers that reflect who they truly are. And remember, your uniqueness isn't a barrier, it's your superpower. If today's episode resonated, share your biggest takeaway on Instagram and tag us at Hot Tea with Uma and Bri. And don't forget to subscribe to Hot Tea with Uma and Bri on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss what's coming next. Until next time, thank you for listening and keep showing up authentically you.
Yes,
Peace
that's
out,
hot tea. Bye,
guys.
y'all.
My tea's finished.
Cheers.
Cheers.